It's time for Where You Live with Gene and Tony, the show that's all about owning, buying, selling, renting, and association management. If it involves a home, we'll talk about it. Here's your chance to get your homeowner questions answered. From the Concierge Landscape Studios, here's Gene and Tony.
Needed the shelter of someone's arms, and there you were. Needed someone to understand my ups and downs, and there you were.
Good morning. Welcome again to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. I'm Gene Sullivan.
And I'm Tony Crockett. Good morning, Gene.
Good morning. And we've got quite a list of topics to cover today. A lot of it's going to be on what's going on at the state legislature this year. And there was a thought that occurred to me that the residents are loose and they're running the asylum.
That's what crossed your mind.
That's what crossed my mind, and maybe some of you will think that too as you hear what some of the thoughtful and maybe not so well thought out legislation that's being proposed by some of the people that we've hired to do that. But we'll get into that. But today on the show we've got topic: who's responsible? An HOA gets sued for over $30 million with a tragic death involved. There is another news line that we're going to be following here, and that is we've talked about the Ombudsman Office and how there are a number of states that provide that service for HOAs.
Yep. Or are considering it. I think we've talked about some that are thinking about doing it.
Well, the first one that ever considered it and had put it in action, they're now taking a look at dumping it. We're going to talk about
Interesting.
that. And then, of course, we have got listener emails, and we have your comments, too, that we want to hear from.
Yep. Call us, 651-289-4488, or email Gene at gene@ncmgi.com.
Yes, and we'll be happy to read your comments on the air, too. And now it is time for that first segment called Property Management in the News. And Property Management in the News, of course, today is brought to you by Pest Control Services. When you need to get rid of unwanted pests in your home or rental property, call someone who's responsive, professional, and a proud member of Angie's List. Give owner Greg Keener a call at 952-894-9748, Pest Control Services. And as we said, we have a story. It's a tragic story that came up, I guess, over a decade ago, but the court case is just taking place right now. And Rob or Bill, are we all set? Okay, we'll go ahead and cue the story.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Kate Sullivan.
I'm Rob Johnson. It's an emotional, bittersweet night for the parents of three boys who stepped onto a frozen lake in northwest Indiana and fell through the ice.
One boy died. Another suffered brain damage. Tonight, a decade after that tragedy on the ice, a jury is blaming the owners of the property for not protecting the children. Mike Parker has the story.
You take an area as such, like right in here, and you feel this is very solid, but you can see how he just falls through it. And this is what happened to these children.
10 years ago next month, 11-year-old Andrew Kennedy and his brother James and two other boys went through the ice on this northwest Indiana lake. Andrew drowned. James and the other boys survived, although James, seen here tonight with his father, suffered serious brain damage. Today, a jury awarded the family $30.7 million in damages. Lawyers for the family had argued that the Lake of the Four Seasons Property Owners Association should have posted signs warning people to stay off the ice, which had suddenly begun to melt in the days before the tragedy, that the association should have roped off the area to keep children away.
If it sends out a message to whether it's a community nearby or a community 1,000 miles away, that they should think twice about looking for the safety of other children, and it prevents another tragedy, then everything was worth it.
And we showed that the cost of a sign was $50 and the cost of a rope was $20. You have to have safety equipment here. You have to have warning signs here, and you have to restrict access. They did none.
The boy's father, Thomas Kennedy, says the jury's award will help to pay for the cost of continuing medical care for his brain-damaged son, James, who will likely never speak again. Rob and Kate, it is possible that on appeal, the defendants, the property owners group, might succeed in getting that $30 million negligence award reduced. They will surely try.
Well, folks, what do you think? Do you think that this was a proper thing to do to put the burden on the homeowners association for this tragic deaths that took place at the lake where their properties by? Tony, what do you think?
It's a tough issue. Yeah. You know, my first reaction is, how would I ever be able to handle a devastating loss like that? And were I the mother of these children? And yes, I would want to do everything in my power to prevent it from happening to anybody else. That would be my reaction.
But, you know, unfortunately, I don't think there's anything that a person can do that can say this will prevent this kind of thing from ever happening again.
That's right.
And
that's right. Kids will be kids. And when we were talking about this morning, would a sign and a rope have prevented these kids from going out on the lake? That's impossible to say, but my instinct is probably not.
You know, I've done a lot of dumb things as a kid, and a number of those things my parents never found out about, until after I was older.
Fortunately, you weren't harmed.
Exactly.
This was an accident.
This was an accident. Yeah. And so to put that kind of burden or responsibility, I don't know is a fair thing to do.
No, it's a different issue if those things were required by city ordinance or by state statute, that there was a sign required there that wasn't there, or a fence required there that wasn't there. That's a different argument. But I don't think anyone's making that argument, that it was required by code or legislation that they have those things in place.
Yeah, I agree. And, like we said, a $50 sign, a $20 piece of rope is not going to prevent kids from crawling or jumping over something anyway. And the idea that hasn't been addressed here is, how about the aspect of trespassing? I mean, it's unfortunate that this happened to these kids, but the only way for them to get on the lake was to trespass on property that did not belong to them or their family. And and still, with trespassing, you still have this kind of
I had another thought too. There's other ways to share this story and spread the message that more protections should be in place in circumstances like this. There's other ways to do that. As a mom, I could join my homeowners association board. I could advocate for more fencing, more signs, more ropes. I could speak to other homeowners associations groups about that and campaign for more protections. But instead I sued the homeowners association for $30 million. I don't think it's appropriate.
Sometimes that happens just too quickly. That very thing happened when I was growing up. Our next door neighbor, we lived on Medicine Lake in Plymouth, and our next door neighbors, the family took off for a vacation for about a week or so, and some of the nephew of that husband and wife and some of their kids came over unannounced when they were gone without permission.
Without permission.
Yeah. And they wanted to go swimming, so they went and jumped off the dock. But unfortunately, on that part of Medicine Lake, it is so shallow. I mean, you can go out literally 50, 60 yards, and it would be maybe up to your waist, not even that.
Yeah.
And so here the guy got excited, jumped in, and broke his neck.
Oh, dear.
And then the unfortunate thing was there was a lawsuit then. A lawsuit where here you have family suing family.
Oh, my.
And the reason why is they said, well, there was no sign that said no trespassing.
Oh, my.
And I don't know that I don't know that you have to, that you always have to do that. I know that it seems that that's the way law is, but there's just something about it that just doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, our hearts go out to the family, people who've had the deaths of their children, and to the one who's still around but still struggling. Again, our hearts out to you for that. But I don't know that it would be necessarily proper for the HOA to be sued for something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? We would love to hear from you. And that, of course, is Property Management in the News, brought to you by Pest Control Services. We're going to take a quick break. We've got some other stories we can talk about, too. There is, in Florida, they're already dumping the Ombudsman office after 6 years. And then, of course, is our state legislature going too far? Well, you be the judge. We'll take a break. You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony on AM 1280, The Patriot.